So the discussion for today is about factors in the development of the physical self. There are two factors in it. The first one is the environment, wherein it is the main factor in the development of the physical self due to its nature. The physical self is highly altered with the living conditions and how the physical self adapts and changes shape. The second one is the hereditary. It is what you gain from your parents. The genetics and etc. are on it.
9 stages in the lifespan. I will only discuss about 6 today because it will be the rest of the video will be discussed by the next presenter. The first stage of life is the prenatal development, where the child is still in the womb and the main concern is the health of the mother. The second is infancy and toddlerhood. This is the first to second years of the child where the major physical changes will occur. The third is the early childhood. This is where this is mostly called the preschooling years of the child, and this is where they will have formal schooling. And in the middle childhood, this is 6th to 11th year of the child, where they will have more information because of their environment from their imitations. Next to this is the adolescence. This is where we will have physical changes in the body due to growth spurts and sexual maturity. The next one is early adulthood. This is in early adulthood. All of us are all at our physical peaks, but we are more likely to be involved in crimes and substance abuse. The next discussion will be discussed with the next presenter. The most memorable stage of my life is my middle childhood. This is because I have almost gained all of my information from the experiences I had when I was in grade school. This is also my most memorable one because it has the most recent developments of my life. It determined my morality, my views on life, how I act, how I feel, and because of my middle childhood, I have learned a lot and have applied it to my recent stage of life, which is adolescence.
My assigned topic is about the social self theory by George Herbert Mead. But first, who is George Herbert Mead? George Herbert Mead is an American philosopher, psychologist, and sociologist. He is also regarded as being one of the founders of social interactionism. So, what is the social theory of self? This comes from the perspective that the self emerges from social interactions, such as observing and interacting with others, responding to others' opinions about oneself, and internalizing external opinions and internal feelings about oneself. The social aspect of self is an important distinction because other sociologists and psychologists of Mead's time felt that the self was more based on biological factors and inherited traits. So according to Mead, the self is not there from birth. It is developed over time through social interactions and activities. An example of this in animals is when two dogs are about to fight. As one dog approaches the other, showing hostility with signs like walking slowly, growling, snapping, the other dog sees this as a threat and then reacts accordingly to the stimulus by changing his position or attitude towards the dog, seeing that this dog is a threat. A story I can relate to this was when I was still in elementary. Before, I used to talk a lot. I talked about anything that came into my head to almost anyone I met. But then, as the weeks went by, my classmates kept taunting me. And after a few years, I just ended up shutting myself up. So whenever I walk past them and I see them looking at me with those eyes, I just think to myself, shut up na lang ako. Because I don't want to be made fun of again. And maybe that's the reason why I don't share much of myself now. Continuing where Kyle left off, we have middle adulthood, late adulthood, and then dying. So middle adulthood is where is in the late 30s through the mid 60s, and is where the earlier aging effects are more noticeable. It is also where we usually reach our peak in love and work. It is also the time where people usually become more realistic in life choices, thinking and seeing what is more practical, what is more likely to happen. Late adulthood then comes next, which is sometimes subdivided into 2 or 3 categories. Young old, old, or young old, or oldest old. The young old usually range from 65 to 79 years old, and the old is 80 and above. The main difference is that the young old, it's more like in midlife, where they are more productive and more healthy. The old on the other hand is more prone to diseases, though they are still active and the majority of them still live independently. And the last, death and dying, pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, good morning to everyone. I will discuss you the Me and I by Herbert Mead. Me and I is a term central to the philosophy of George Herbert Mead. One of the key influences on the development of the branch of sociology called symbolic interactionism. Me and I, for me, it is a philosophical word that you must know about yourself. For me and I is how to know who I am. Who I am, that no everyone know who I am. This philosophical symbolic interactionism is teach out how to know about us. And for my story about me and I is I don't know who I am. Me is just a person that is very simple to entertain others to simply to know me about me. It is the human being of yourself of being have a very big confidence that can reliable to your own. It is influences the development of our stages. How do we know what is our stages in? Like for example, we are the adolescent stage for us now.